right, now that we're done jamming out, what's going on, everybody? So we're into the new year. Uh, Trump is officially going to be the president. Um, yeah, that's right. He's your president too. He's your president too. Um, then also we got a couple things going on. I know that Psych has got some interesting stuff for us for D&D. I know me and Daddy Bro got some interesting stuff to talk about that's not so D&D. And yeah, see, he's shaking his head no, but he wants to say yes oh so badly.
I'm going to share the
No, I don't.
veteran business information I found out this week too.
Oh yeah. You should definitely do that. But yes, so we're going to talk about a little bit of D&D, and then we're going to talk about a little bit of things going on in the real world right now that some of us are. I myself have looked upon things and not real happy with everything. So, um, that I see a lot of flopping going on right now that I'm just like, stop it. So, anyways, um, and then on top of that, my 7-year-old is got skates for Christmas, and she is skating back and forth, which is interesting to say the least. So, anyways, there's that. All right, I say we jump right into it. Let's get into the D&D stuff first, and then we get into the goody goods afterwards.
Sure. So I've been doing a bunch of like research on. Well, I've been reading a bunch of books that were other well-known influencers have suggested to read, right? To be a good GM and like how to build storylines and worlds and all that stuff. And so I've started building a world recently, and I've also been reading a bunch of books. And one of them I ran across is called Arbiter of Worlds, and it's written by Alexander Macris. And anyways, it gives some really good information and really, I guess it's not a heavy read, but it's got a bunch of interesting details. And this person's got quite a few years of experience of writing. So one of the big things that I wanted to bring up and ask your guys' opinion on, because I think this is still done, and it was actually uh, I've watched a couple of influencers that have talked about it as well. And having played in like 3.5 and some of those older school D&D campaigns and so forth, like they used to actually state they wanted you to build your world or your adventures with a story arc. And the idea was you start in a place, you guide the players through, and they're going to finish the adventure at a specific level and with specific reasons, and like they're going to kill a specific enemy. And it's very like railroaded, right? And there's still a lot of people that follow that, like a story arc mentality of world building. But the argument in this book is instead of building a story arc, you build um, a a web like a web of story arcs. So you have a bunch of different directions the players can go. So it turns into more of a sandbox, but it still has consistency behind being able to like be ready for whatever the players like go into. And it talks about having like a top down the author calls it a top down zoom in approach, which is so a bottom up approach would be like you build the world, and then like you spend tons and tons of time and like everything is built out everywhere, whether the players are going to go there or not. That would be like a bottoms up mentality of world building, right? And then a top down would be like I'm going to build out the least amount that I need to and continue to build it as the players go into it, and it's going to be very like improv. And so the one that the author talks about is a top-down zoom in, which is like that there's going to be certain areas that they're going to visit, or there's going to be parts of the storyline that are going to be really important in these certain areas, and so you do a little bit more work in some of that, but you also have some improvisation that happens during that. So, anyways, And then the other part it talks about too is, and I think this really plays into um, how woke D&D has become recently. Um, and this is the whole like if you don't have agency, then the game loses its flavor. And what I mean by agency is like if your choices that you're making, if you know that the choices you make are not going to lead to death at some point in time, because if you make a bad decision and your character dies, it's on you, right? But you have agency in it because you know, like, if I make a bad decision, my character can die. But there's a lot of like DMs now that are trying to work with people, and even D&D in general, that's trying to have it kind of a lighter look of it as like, okay, like you can fudge numbers and like keep your party alive, or you can do this or whatever, and like you should not be doing that because it actually drives the agency out. And over time, like the players will bite into that, and they won't have as much um, they won't have as much buy-in on the actual like storyline that you have together and all that. So, anyways, those are some of the major points that are in the book. Um, what's your guys' thoughts?
Woke sucks.
Yeah, Elon Musk, if you're watching this, do us all a favor and go ahead and buy Hasbro. Um, we will all be grateful to you if you do, and that way we can change that. Um, I agree, though. Like, I agree that it's.
I think that
Me and you played a session not too long ago, a couple weeks ago, right?
Mhm.
And don't get me wrong, the DM GM, uh, he wasn't bad. Um, we played with him what, like 3 times, 4 times now.
Mhm.
Um,
He happens to be available a lot during the
yeah,
times that we're looking or whatever. So,
and to be fair though, I feel like he's probably going to start being available a lot more though if he keeps doing what he did for us.
mhm.
But um,
Did
I
he
feel like
fetch you in the wrong place?
he, if I had a doll, I'd show you. But um,
The only thing that
it,
gets me is, and it's a whole different story, is again the inconsistency with like signing up for a game on start playing and the amount that you pay for, because it
yeah,
ended up being a complete uh theater of the
theater of
mind
mine.
game.
Yeah,
Whereas in like what we paid for should have had like a map and all that stuff, like the amount that we paid for the game.
yeah.
So,
I mean,
but
he put zero work into it, and
but
to be
anyways,
to be fair, it kind of seemed like it ended lazily.
mhm.
Um, so there's that. But if you notice though, like I feel like he kind of dumbed it down so that way that way the characters always stay alive,
Yeah,
and
yeah, because I didn't feel like there's ever
it's not
I've played with
challenging.
I've played with DMs where, if you make a bad decision, like you're gonna be on death's door like real quick.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
It needs to be challenging.
yeah.
If you if you roll a one, a nat one, um, you should feel it.
The the and I know I always go back to this, but it's probably like the most recent like long-term experience I've had. But that game that went for almost 3 years for me, like the DM is retired military or whatever, like he puts a lot of time into his games and all that stuff. But
Yeah,
I would say every like 3 sessions I was doing death saves.
yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, because it was tough. Like they were like tough fights, and like
Hmm.
somebody would go down or whatever, or like the party would go down and somebody would have to flee to keep us all alive, and like, like there's a lot of stuff that we had to do. I had to get carried by the party back to a priest in the town because we were too low level to do resurrection, or too low level to get rid of what is it that mummies give you, petrified.
Petrified. Yep.
Yeah, we were too low level to get rid of it, and it lasts for like, I think it's indefinite, right? If you don't get it fixed or whatever. So, anyways, um, and then on the way out, we're getting attacked by like water weirds and stuff in the sewer. Like, while they're trying to like haul me out, right? So it wasn't like a simple like, oh, you're gonna go like heal your teammate now. So, anyways, back to what you're saying though. Yeah, the we had buy-in and like we were cautious about what we did. Like we really thought about like how are we gonna play this out and why. It wasn't just run in and like do whatever and nobody's gonna die. Like everybody
Yeah.
knows that nobody's gonna die. So,
Yep.
anyways, that was one portion of it. The other thing I was curious about on your thoughts too was so that's the agency side of it. Um, the building a web, not an arc, like the
Yeah.
storyline. Because I think going back to what and I think one shots are probably different than like a full on
A full campaign.
campaign, right? Like you have to
Yeah.
have a little bit more guidance on like a one shot to keep everybody kind of going because you do tend to like if you allow a one shot to veer off much, you're going to go way over your time, like that you're trying to stay in.
Yeah.
But but for a campaign, I've played in campaigns too where it was like, okay, we're going to start like the DM even told us like we're going to start at level 3 and we're going to finish at like level 14. It was built like he knew for sure like this is where we're going to stop.
Yeah.
And it was just the way that he developed the game and all that stuff, and it was very like I said, you felt almost railroaded, right? Because like everything you did was like, okay, you're gonna go here next, you're gonna go there next. Like it, although it was built out as a sandbox, we didn't have the ability to choose to make it a sandbox, if that makes sense.
Right.
Um, whereas in others I've played, uh, they build the whole world out, and then originally their thought process is like this area over here is a higher level area, but then you go there to lower level and some DMs will leave it a higher level, which pushes you back, right? So you don't feel as railroaded because you're like, oh, it's just a high level area. Like, and and so you're like, well, I'll either go in here and we all like TPK, or I'm gonna go the other direction. And the other way I've seen it is the areas are already built out, but then they fill in with the appropriate monsters that they need to when you start to like adventure in that area. Instead of putting the monsters there ahead of time. So, anyways, um, and also with the web thing, the idea was if you don't make certain decisions, things happen in the world, whether you do or do not do something.
Right. Which I feel like you. So I understand now what you're saying versus like a web versus. Um, I mean, I guess to
Because a
get the
story
web.
arc, like if you veer off the story arc or whatever, it doesn't matter because you're going to come back to it.
Yeah.
With the web, if you don't do something somewhere, like, and you may never even go to that area, but if you don't do something somewhere, like something's going to happen in the background that can change the world altogether, or like how everything works, or like change that specific area before you get there. Like, whatever that looks like, there's things that are going on in the background. If you're not interfering with, are going to continue to make changes.
Right. So to me, I feel like if the game doesn't feel like there's a world going on around you, your characters are not going to get into the game.
Hmm.
So if you're a DM or GM, um, make sure that, like there's a world economy going on around somebody. If something happens over at point A, it should also affect point B, but then point C should also at least hear about it. So the world should be ever flowing around everything that's going on. Just because you're playing one character doesn't mean the world stops everywhere else. And that's just how I see it. I don't know. Daddy Bro, what do you think?
I don't know. I'm kind of in the middle with this. It seems like I have a real problem. You mentioned woke. So I have a take on it. It's really simple. And if you're one of these people, don't be offended. Don't clutch your pearls. Just know that this is what you are. You're mentally ill. That's what you are. The woke mentality is not conducive with the reality of our society. It's just not. And if you think I'm wrong, I would give you Exhibit A, California. You dumbass liberals can't even figure out that you need water to fight fires. Enough said. Oh yeah, you can't tell me what a woman is either, so y'all can suck it. My youngest can tell me what a woman is, and if she can do it, I can't understand why you can't. I know you need a biology degree or whatever. I can't take it anymore. It's gotten way out of hand. And look, I have liberal friends, and I'm teasing a little bit, and they're not totally nuts. They're just partially nuts. But it all comes back to intention, I think. My problem with what's going on in D&D right now is pretty simple. You have a bunch of douchebags who have an agenda that has nothing to do with D&D, and they're foisting it on everyone. And the reality is this game is way bigger than one person. And the majority of the people in this country, whether you like it or not, and around the world, are not liberal douchebags. We're just not. Sorry. And if you think I'm wrong, just look at what's going on in the world. Look at the world politics right now and tell me that I'm wrong. Well, you're not going to be able to because I'm not.
Yeah.
I just can't take it.
I mean,
you're spot on, because if you look at the world of politics worldwide, it is doing a majority flip towards the conservative.
Well, this is what always happens.
Policies.
You know, you let the kids run amok, and then the adults have to take over and fix everything.
Yeah.
We went through this, and this is, let me tell you, this is something that's got me really steamed right now. Okay, and I'm going to catch a lot of heat for this. I don't care. I really don't. Jimmy Carter just died, right? Flags are at half staff. I will piss on his grave. I don't care about Habitat for Humanity. I don't care about all the good things he did. I care about the fact that for 400 plus days, American citizens were held by the crackhead Iraqis, Iranians, and he did not do shit to fix that. He did nothing to help those people. Well, the day Ronald Reagan came in, what happened? Oh, they let the people go. Why do you think that is? Because he said, 1, 2, 3, I'm turning you into a glass factory. That's why. That's exactly why. And the same thing's going to happen with the hostages right now that those douchebags in the Middle East have that are American. Trump's going to take over. They're going to let him go, because if they don't let him go, I mark my words, SEAL Team 6 is going to come knock on your door. And you are not going to like it, because they're going to shove some bacon bits up your butt.
I didn't think they were. They're not pork. They're not pork eaters, though, are they?
That's sad. True story.
On the tier 1 note, I saw I don't remember which. I think it was Sean Ryan that I was watching. But anyways, there's somebody on there that was explaining like about the cartel and how the cartel think that they're tough or whatever. And he was like, when the tier 1 show up at your doorstep, you're gonna be in a world of hurt.
Yeah,
like,
it's coming.
You have no idea. You have no idea what you're dealing with when you start playing.
Newsflash: I know a lot of people in this community. They're training right now.
Oh, yeah.
They've been gearing up for a while.
Well, that's been happening for a long time.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is there are some specific things that are coming down the pipe.
Sure.
Man, first week of February, I wouldn't want to be in Mexico. Just saying.
I'd be excited to actually see it, though.
It's about damn time.
Yeah.
Somebody has to do what's right. And, we can't sit around and wait for Superman to show up. And it's high time that everyone, and what I mean by everyone is, I mean every single American, we have to stand up and say enough is enough. Sorry. Mm-hmm. You want to be, have you ever heard of there's a kid's book. It's called The Emperor's New Clothes. Yep. Have you ever heard of that book?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Basically, the concept, for those of you in Wonderland who've never heard of this book, the way this works is simple. There's an emperor, he's a king or whatever, and he has this tailor who's a fraud. And he makes this beautiful new garment, and it's basically nothing. So the king strips down, and he supposedly puts on this. Then he goes, "Oh, your robe is so good." The dude's walking around naked, and everyone in his society goes, "Oh, you look fantastic," even though he's naked. They're lying to him. And that's what we've been doing for the last decade with these douchebag liberals.
Mhm.
We've been patting them on the head and saying, you're part of the group. You're part of the team. We just want to get along to get along. People get upset at conservatives and Republicans because we don't protest. You know why we don't protest? Because we have jobs and we pay taxes. We got shit to do. And the only people that want to protest are these liberal douchebags and their trust fund baby kids who have no idea what the hell's going on. And I'm sorry, I'm done with it. Call a spade a spade. You want to burn down the country. You want to shut down the police. And this last couple days has been a riot to me. All these lefty douchebag actor types always running off at the mouth about how bad this is and how bad that is and how much they hate the police and first responders. They're kissing their ass now. Why? Because that's what kept them alive.
Mm-hmm.
They were the ones running into the fire. And they're finally starting to wake up and go, you know what? Maybe we went a little too far with Trudeau East, because that's what you got right there. And it's high time you make them count for something. If you live in California, I'm sorry you went through that. I truly am. I don't want anyone to go. I know. I've been there. I've been through the fires. I understand. I do. I've seen it firsthand. It sucks. But the bottom line is you brought this on yourselves. You make dumb choices. You pay the highest taxes in the entire country, and you let these dumbasses who don't know what they're doing run the show. What did you think was going to happen?
On top of that, too, you're not even allowed to have your own water reserves.
Sure can't.
Nope.
And do you guys understand why the water wasn't there? I know why. Do you know why? There is and I know you might get a little bent about this. There was an Indian tribe who was bitching about a fish that is important to them for some reason.
I heard about that.
Gavin Newsom cut a deal that cut the water off so that these little fishies could live. Newsflash, dumbass. You live in Fireland.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry about maybe they could have come up with another solution where they relocate the fish. There's a lot of smart biologists out there. Why couldn't they, I don't understand. I want to be nice about this and I don't want to be a jerk, but I'm over it. I'm totally over it.
And what's funny though is it's a fish that you first off, you can't eat it. It's too small of a fish.
Right.
And secondly, it's a feeder fish.
Right.
It's a feeder. Meaning you feed other fish with this fish. So you can get an aquarium, a 20-gallon, 50-gallon aquarium, whatever, and save a population of these fish if you needed to, and put them somewhere else. Texas has Great Lakes. Put them in some Texas lakes.
The interesting thing too is like if you know anything about Southern California, is like it's technically desert anyways, because the water they do have has dried up all the farmlands and everything else in Northern California, and there's a whole host of things that are wrong with how we've populated Southern California. But anyways,
that goes with any big area. But the bottom line is to act all shocked and all in dismay because you put a guy who spends hundreds of thousands of dollars on outfits and putting homeless people up in 4-star hotels and making you know what? This is what gripes me the most. And I'm talking to you, douchebag Biden.
Not just homeless though either. Illegal immigrants.
Well, I wasn't going to say it, but you went there.
Yeah.
Joe Biden, you're a douche. He went ahead. Gavin cried to Big Brother, Big Daddy. He said, "Daddy, I need money because I have no money for this fire." So guess what? He goes, "I need 70. Can the Fed pay 75% for this fire?" You know what Dum did? Oh, don't worry about it. We're going to cover 100%. That's what he said yesterday. You know what? F around and find out. That's why you're unemployed too.
Mm-hmm.
You have no right to spend my tax money on this crap. But here we are. I can't stop you. You're right. January 20th is coming. Paybacks are coming.
Have you guys seen any of the interviews with Mel Gibson?
Oh yeah, yes. He's hot as
hell. He is pissed.
Well, and then
he told Newsom to spend less on hair gel.
Yeah,
and he's right.
He's right.
He's absolutely right. He's absolutely freaking right. And I don't, for the life of me, understand why anybody puts up with the crap that these guys. They've been pulling this nonsense for years too. This is nothing new.
Yeah.
That's what is so infuriating to me. They're the same dumbasses who want to hug terrorists. They don't want to kill them. You don't want to waterboard them because that's torture. Even though we do that to our SEALs in training, get the hell out of here. You people, you don't know what you're talking about. You're incompetent. Your incompetent level is. I'm just gonna tell. I'm trying really hard to breathe, but it's getting difficult, man. It's killing me. And I've kept my big mouth shut for a long time about this stuff, and I don't really talk about this in my chat because I'm trying to get along.
Yeah.
But look, and I love my friends that are liberals. I don't have a problem with classic liberals. If you're a liberal, good for you. You have more emotional intelligence than I do. I'm sorry, I don't got time to hug everybody. I got shit to do and bills to pay and a family to take care of. And I am not going to stand by and let you, because you got a hard on for feelings, ruin my society because you think you're right. Because we've been trying this nonsense now since I was born. A la Jimmy Carter, a la, all these other dum-dums, Bill Clinton, now the latest inbred retard, Joe Biden, Kamala and the Cackle Bunch. And when they gave the Medal of Freedom to Hillary Clinton, I wanted to spit fire. I'm like, have you for what? For murdering a bunch of SEALs? Good for her.
That was one of the things I was going to bring up, because I was like, this is absolutely, positively the stupidest thing. But I mean, there's other stuff that within the past what, 2-3 weeks, I have sat here and been like, retards, and so they give it to her. They also gave it to another guy that wasn't he involved in like some kind of child money making scheme.
Probably.
Yeah, like they gave both of them this Medal of Presidential Honors, and I'm like, for what? Like, what did they do?
Well, that's just it. You don't have to. It's the same thing with him giving immunity to his son. He can do what he wants because he thinks he's a king. You're about to find out how much of a king you aren't.
Mm-hmm.
Paybacks are coming.
Oh yeah, when was it? 280 felons, federal felons.
Well, this is how much of a loser our current president is. He pardoned all these people on death row, right? Mm-hmm. There are 2 guys on death row who said, "Piss on you, I'd rather be executed." They denied the clemency. They put the middle fingers up and said, no, y'all said we're going to die. You're going to have to kill us now. And I'm like, good for you. I'll get the gun ready. I'll ice you. I have no problem with that. I am so over this nonsense. I mean, it's just like giving Barack Obama, didn't he get the Nobel Peace Prize or some nonsense?
Yes, he did.
For what? Because he's black.
He was the first black president.
I don't give a damn. Look,
it wasn't. He's not even full black though, isn't that?
I don't care. None of it matters. It's not about his race.
I'm just saying, like,
and all of this is about him being who he is, him being a liberal douche, and they love that nonsense.
You're right. But if you're gonna say, "Oh, he's the first black president," are you going to ignore the rest of his history and heritage? Like, that's like me saying, "Oh, I'm a white guy, and I'm going to ignore my Viking and Native American ancestry."
I wish I was a Viking right now, because I'd like to stab some people in the freaking face. And Denmark, piss on you too. Don't even get me started on that shit. Because I'll tell you right now, man, if Greenland, you need a big brother, we got you. We got you all day, every day, for real. I've never been to that country. I've always wanted to go. But the way this is cooking out is kind of interesting to me. And people are making fun of it. They're making fun of Trump because he's trying to do this. But what they don't understand is this is not the first time we've done this. No, because they don't know their history. They don't know. And that's what makes these condescending bastards so irritating to me, because they talk all this smack. They make it sound like, oh, he's this evil bastard. And I'm like, dude, he's not. you don't understand. You're too dumb to get it because you're so blinded by your hatred of this man.
Yep.
You know, it reminds me, I don't know. I'm so irritated about the whole thing right now. And I don't want to be. I really don't. I would rather be, you know, and I'm sorry, I know this really is off topic, but this is the kind of stuff that's really gotten me all steamed up right now.
No. This is actually, we were going to go into it, but
Yeah,
you went into it a little earlier.
Said the W word. Damn it.
You went into it a little earlier than what
I can't look. For years, I have tolerated this nonsense. I tolerated it in my classes. I tolerated it as a student. Let me tell you guys a little story. I was at the University of Pittsburgh, okay? I was in my sophomore year. I was in it was basically a first year or second year politics class, okay? Comparative politics is what it was called. And the guy who was running it, I don't remember his name for the life of me, but he was the academic chair for the department. And the guy was an old douchebag liberal. And he was running off of the mouth and this and that and blah, blah, blah. Liberals are awesome and suck this and blah, blah, blah. So me being the good conservative pain in the ass that I am, and by the way, I sat down front for every class. I walked in one day and I had one of Rush Limbaugh's books and I just stuck it on the corner of his lectern and waited for the man to come in. He came in, there was like maybe 100 of us in the class. He came in, he saw that book. He looked at the book. He looked around the class. He picked up the book and he goes, "Who put this on my lectern?" And I raised my hand. And he said, "Well, Mr. Dude, Daddy Bro Dude, can you explain to me why you would put this thing on my lectern?" I said, "Well, first off, sir, that is a book written by a very good conservative person who has a clue as to what the reality is of politics, unlike you." And I said, secondly, I thought, being as we are a liberal arts college, you might want to bring a little balance to your arguments. He promptly kicked me out of his lecture. And I said, "Well, we'll see about that." So I went to the president of the university that very morning. Like, I marched my ass right up into his office, knocked on the door, and I said, "Listen here, dickhead. He's violating the First Amendment, amongst other things, and you better unfuck this, or you and I are going to have a real problem. And I'm not going to get mad. I'm just going to go to the Board of Regents and, let them make the decision." So he immediately said, "Well, what do you want us to do?" I said, "Well, the first thing that's going to happen is he's going to give me a public apology in front of all those students." I said, "The second thing that's going to happen is he's going to have a fair and balanced conversation about politics in his class. And I'm going to make sure of it because I'm going to sit in on every one of these damn lectures. I don't want to go because it's early in the morning because I was stupid enough to get that class." But the moral of the story was, if you don't have the courage of your convictions, people will walk on you. Mm-hmm. And I don't give a damn about your grade. I don't give a damn if you try to fail me. Mark, man, I could tell you stories. I did forensic debate in college too, and I got into this one dealing with global warming, pros and cons, and I was on the con side, and I made the girl on the pro side cry because she kept quoting Al Gore, and I kept stomping her into the ground because she was dumb enough to bring up Al Gore.
Well, yeah, that was a mistake number one.
Well, because he's just, you know who else got that stupid medal? Bill Nye, the douchebag guy.
Oh, yeah.
The guy who doesn't have a science degree, but he calls himself a science guy.
Yep.
He's got a degree in engineering, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Fucking idiots, man. I can't deal with it. Yep. And I want to be nice and I want to be fair and I want everyone to feel loved and all that. I don't want anyone to feel like they're not allowed to be or hated or any of that stuff. I don't hate anyone unless you're a member of Al Qaeda or some other Durka jihadi group. If you're a Muslim, and I'm not talking about a moderate Muslim, I'm talking one of you extremist assholes. If you're one of those, put your hand up now. Let me know who you are, and I'll put you in my sights. Okay? Other than those people, I have no problem with you. Those are the only people on the planet that have anything to fear from me. That's it. Otherwise, I'm a tolerant dude. You can be dumb. I don't care. I'm going to tell you you're dumb. But you got the right to be as stupid as you want.
Yep.
Just don't try to impose your stupid on everybody else. Because you know what? I don't run around trying to make you be a conservative because I know you're not capable. That would require intellect. And most people simply don't have it. And oh, yeah, common sense. I forgot about that one. That's just the truth of it. And I know that gets people all riled up and they get mad and they want to clutch their pearls and call me names. Oh, your names are going to hurt me. And that's just like I got into it with my daughter the other day. She tried to tell me that I was gaslighting her. I'm like, first off, you are not even 15 years old. You don't even know what the hell gaslighting is. I do so. My teacher talks about it all the time. Well, your teacher's a dumbass. And I said, secondly, this is not a two-way conversation. This is a dictatorship, or as I like to call it, a dad-tatorship.
Yep.
And what I say goes, and if you don't like it, there is the damn door. Feel free to leave. Good luck. Happy hunting. May the odds forever be in your favor.
I was about to say.
It's just one of those things, man. And people get all riled up about this stuff. And I'm just like, look, you need to understand. We have to have boundaries. We have to have limits to how much of this bullshit we're going to tolerate. We have to. Because if we don't, more and more of this stuff's going to happen. More and more of these people are going to act this way. Part of the problem I have with what's going on in the world is people are normalizing very, very abnormal behavior. Oh, the wife is calling. Saved by the Bell. All right, I'm going to let it go right there. You guys can talk amongst yourselves. Sorry, I didn't mean to monopolize things.
Oh, you're good. You're good. All right. So, yeah. What do you have to say about this, Psych?
Well, I mean, going back to the whole agency thing of like, which is part of that, right? No, I mean, it's part of it though. Is like, if you don't have consequences in what you're doing because you're trying to make a game that's fair for everybody, like in that sense, right? Where you're oversimplifying it, you're making it fair for everybody because you don't want to hurt somebody's feelings, or you don't want to kill off somebody because you're afraid you're going to lose them as a player, or you don't want to you're trying to make everybody happy. Then you're doing yourself as a DM and the players an injustice because the game's no longer going to be fun because there's no agency there. Like there's no reason to don't even roll the dice at that point.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if you know that you're not going to die, then it's like, okay, I'm going to, aim at this person. I'm going to roll the dice or whatever. But if you don't, well, then I'm still going to live through it anyways. Like,
Right.
Whereas in like the dice are supposed to tell that story for you, right? Like that's the whole point of it. So anyways, it was interesting that the author like really brought that up and like dove deep into the whole agency portion of it and why it's important. But then also, like I said, having the web mentality instead of the arc mentality for a campaign. But anyways, and then yeah, so during some of the world building stuff that I've been doing, I picked up a bunch of also stuff um, that's been uh, pushed out by some of the influencers and stuff, or recommended, which is like Tome of Adventure Design, the GM Miscellany series, which they're all like random roll table stuff, but it allows you to say, okay, I've got a swamp over here, and in my swamp, I'm going to roll a D100, and that D100 is going to tell me the type of monster that's going to be in the swamp, and then I can go find like something that actually fits that type of monster. And so you're doing a lot of randomization because humans are horrible at randomization, so like by having the roll tables, it allows you to be more open with like what's happening in the world. So I did that as well with all my terrain across the entire world. So I did a lot of randomization on like building out the terrain and like what's there, and like I've got like swamps and fens and deserts, and I mean like all the different styles of like
kind of like mine. Kind of like my world map that I built.
But anyways, so yeah, so the idea is like even if you go into this area, even if it's low level stuff, it's still, you're still taking a risk. You know what I mean? Like you still got to roll the dice, and the dice are going to tell the story of what happens.
Yeah.
And there's always a chance that your character is going to die. So, and one of the coolest animals I ran across most recently with the swamp that I'm building on, because the swamp was the last one I was working on, is grung. And like I was reading about all the different types of grung,
Mhm.
And I don't know if you guys are familiar with them or remember them, but like there's multiple colors of grung, and like they all have different poison types. And one of the poison types, if you get poisoned by it, you have to make a loud noise at the beginning and end of your turn. And there's another one where all you can do is jump up and down. Like that's during your action and your bonus action, all you can do is jump up and down. Like there's, there's some crazy ass like poison stuff in the grung. It's awesome.
Oh,
But
wow.
anyways, yeah. So and then the other thing I was going to talk about, veteran wise, and this is in the state of Texas, anyways, is you can, if you go through the Texas Veteran Commission and you have your DD 214 that shows that you've been honorably discharged from the military, you can get a veteran verification letter, which will allow you to get an LLC or any other type of business organization listing or filing, and you waive all the fees.
Oh,
And it's been
that's
going
very
on
nice.
it's been going on since 2023. And on top of that, it waives 5 years of franchise tax as well.
Nice.
So the first 5 years of business, you don't have to pay any franchise. You don't even have to file the franchise tax waiver thing and all that stuff. Because normally every year you've got to like send in a thing showing like you made below, I think it's like 2.6 million or something like that. And if you make above that, then you have to start paying like the special tax or whatever. So anyways, but that waives it. So even if you make above that in the first 5 years, you don't have to pay taxes. So so I had shared that with you too, because I know that you did the non-for-profit. I just did my LLC and turned that in. So
We just got a new follower, guys.
cool.
GCDR4EV. I'm gonna guess.
Woohoo!
Yeah. Thanks for the follow.
Welcome.
So yeah, I concur with the I'm just gonna go there. Hello, new
I know
here.
you are.
My question is coming. Okay, question is coming. So we're looking forward to this. But so I know that I wanted to talk about what was going on in California and how I think that uh, Gavin Newsom has made a huge error, a calculation error, and he, as much as I feel bad for people of California, but at the same time, you elected him. You put the man in power. Like you gave him the power. You said, "Hey, please run my state how you see fit." You had it coming. Sorry, not sorry. I mean, oh,
Hi.
hi.
The paladin's alive and well.
That's good. So yeah,
I'm making him food right now. He better be nice to me.
Go away.
oh, just don't gaslight him.
Yeah, right. Hey,
Uh,
she doesn't understand, but that's okay.
But so yeah, you elected him. You put him in office. He's your problem. I'm sorry.
Well, he's not even the one that's the issue. It's that dumbass mayor from LA, the woman that wasn't even in LA when it happened.
Yep, exactly.
And this is
PTSD considered a disability, and is this something I have to tell a potential employer? That's technically a great question.
I don't think you have to release. I don't think unless it stops you from being able to function.
Yeah,
I don't think you're obligated to release that. That's personal health information.
Yeah, it's HIPAA law is actually protected.
Yeah, it's protected under HIPAA.
So I did a whole series at work on this with some other veterans and stuff, and to introduce PTSD, and that was a question that came up. And the only time that you would need to present that you have a PTSD disability if you're asking for a specific accommodation. That they're
Yeah.
gonna give you.
That
Like
makes
that's,
sense.
but you don't have to tell them, like you, and it's on, like if you go on and you're doing your resumes and all that stuff, it's on that list, right, of like disabilities you have. You don't
Mhm.
have to fill that out. Even if you do have PTSD, they don't need to know that, as long as it's not something that's going to interfere with you being able to do your job in the first place. Then yeah, it's not something you have to disclose.
And I would tell you this: if you have PTSD and you have it documented, make sure you're getting paid for it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Exactly.
Go get us the CNR thing or whatever it's called. I can't remember what it's called. My wife knows these things better than I do. But you need to get it reviewed so that you can get paid for it.
Yep.
Because they owe you big time for that.
It's true.
Don't let them not pay you.
Well,
Absolutely.
and also don't. We've talked about this multiple times in other streams as well, but like, don't think that it's not a serious issue.
Oh, it absolutely
Yeah.
is.
So,
It is
because
most
all
definitely.
that's the whole point of like us putting this whole thing together in the first place, was like all of us at some point have dealt with it. I know I have, and I know Knight you have, and like
Mhm.
we've discussed that before. And like the whole point of us doing the whole like DND and being used as like a treatment in PTSD and everything else is because um, there's other methods of treatment out there. This is just one of them, but any type of form of help that can be pushed, is a great thing, right? So
Right.
make sure that whatever works for you is great, but that's why we're here in the first place. So
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. And make sure you get it taken care of, because the last thing that so for me, for instance, I put it off. I put it off. I put it off. I was like, oh, I don't have PTSD. I don't have that. You guys are crazy. Like, no, I had it. I had a very severe case of it. And when I went into that dark hole, I almost didn't climb out. So I would say, if you have it and it is documented and you do have your ducks in a row as far as a doctor and everything like that, make sure you're doing something about it, because the last thing you need to do is get into that dark hole and not be able to climb your way out. And if you need somebody to help you boost you out, let one of us know. We're always here. Always. I mean, I'm always.
and if you need a hobby or want a hobby or have been interested in DMing or whatever, let us know, because we're like very close to getting that launched soon.
Yeah.
So in the
Very,
next like 2 to 3 weeks or so, we're going to start looking for people that we can bring in and start giving some training and like understanding how they're going to go. I've already bought multiple Foundry licenses and all that stuff, and like I've already started getting all that ready. So
y-
anyways,
um,
So
but
as far as let me say one quick thing. As far
yeah,
as
yeah, go for it.
PTSD goes, listen to what I'm saying. Every one of us is, if you're in the military in any way, shape, or form, you have some sort of an A personality in you, for the most part. Not everybody, but a good. If you're any kind of an operator, or you were in any of the stuff, you're probably an A type. Okay, and what that means is you are used to doing things on your own. You don't like to rely on others. You don't like to fall back on things. Please do not think this makes you weak. Don't make the mistake of thinking you can handle this, because you
Mm,
can't. Okay. I don't care how big and bad you are. I don't care if you're a special force person. I don't care. You need to talk to somebody, and you need to get yourself squared away. And if you have, even
Viking
if
should
you,
be putting his hand up too.
yeah, we're all in the same boat here, right? And this is the hard thing for people that have PTSD. You can't see the forest for the trees because you're right in it. Okay. And it's really hard to understand that. And
Mhm.
there is really good help available. And I hate to say that because it's the VA, but that's one thing they're actually pretty damn good at. They're really good at getting people that need the help in that
Yep.
regard, for the most part. Just take care of yourself, because you're no good if you have others in your life that depend on you, you're no good to them if you're not there, right?
Yep.
You got to use your brain here. And this is the hard part that it took me, and I'm sure the others can tell you this too. It takes a while to understand what it even is and how it works and why it is what it is. And even once you think you got it down, trust me, you don't.
yeah,
It
something's always
changes.
gonna rear itself up.
Yep.
It's always gonna be
Yeah.
something different.
It
I mean,
evolves.
Yep.
Yep.
Um, And to your point too, right? Like it can be something that you think that like I've got this figured out, I've got it all solved and all that stuff, and then for some reason you end up like in like a deep depression state, or you end up in a like, it's like it comes out of nowhere, right? Because like
Yeah.
it's something that like just rears itself back up, and so if you don't have a good what we were talking about before, and like again the whole reason that we put all this together is you don't have that good tribe that you can rely on, and somebody that's going to actually point it out and say, hey, something's wrong, like you
Mm,
need to go get this checked, right? If you don't have somebody that's going to keep you in check, in your tribe or whatever, then you need to get that.
Yep.
So because you're not
Absolutely.
always going to see it yourself. So
Absolutely. And to kind of add on to that, though, what one of the things that Psych is talking about, though, is your PTSD is not always going to be the same. It, it's not always going to, or the will is not always going to be the same. Oh, wow. It came through quite a bit. Hold on. Let's see here. The way the workplace is now and HR policies, I'm afraid if I tell them I'm not afraid, they won't hire me, but afraid I will be flagged and monitored as a potential problem. Okay. So I'm gonna finish my point and then I'll talk. I'll hit on this a little bit. So one of the things about PTSD is it's not always going to be the same. One person can, and don't worry about what it said right there about the please refrain from sending long messages. I'm not worried about that. I'll definitely talk about it. I'm getting way off track. Anyways, it's not always going to be the same. So um, for a long time, my PTSD was the night terrors for a long time. That's what it was. And I didn't realize cognitively that what was happening is because of those night terrors, I was being a complete asshole um, outside of that. Like I hated everybody, which I still hate everybody, but um, but I'm a lot nicer about it.
Not like
So,
me.
um, no, so it rears its head different every time. You're not always going to be prepared for it. You're not always going to have it under control. Trust me when I say you are not always going to have it under control. You're going to think you do, but then it's going to be like, aha, gotcha. And so just whatever you do, take your time with it. Learn what helps you. That's a big thing is learn what helps you. Now let's talk about this workplace in HR and stuff like that. They cannot, and I repeat, they cannot do any of what you're talking about there. It's illegal. Now, can they fire you or flag you for something else? Absolutely. But if you can prove that they did it for this reason here, they cannot do it, and you can turn around and sue them. So, with that, I'm gonna hand it off to one of you guys. I'll let you guys do it. I'm gonna knock on this wall real quick and get my dog to stop barking. So, I'm gonna hand it off.
yeah, I mean, I most
Okay.
recently dealt with this at work or whatever, and like, well, not dealt with this, but had major conversations at work, and kind of put myself out in the open at work. Like, nobody knew that I had PTSD at work until I actually got up and like spoke about it and all that stuff. But um, if you don't feel that there's a need or something that they're going to accommodate to you, I wouldn't say there's any reason to share it anyways, unless you think that uh, there's something that you're specifically like trying to get right. If there's specific counseling at work or whatever, and even then your direct like boss or whatever doesn't need to know any of that. They have like EAP programs and everything else like within companies or whatever, and they're not allowed to share any of that information outside of like those sessions and all that stuff. So there's a lot of stuff you can do at work or whatever that can be helped there. Um, I don't know that you like unless you want to share it for some reason, right? Like um there's never a need that I know of that you would need to share at work. So um, again, unless it's something specific that you're going to require accommodation for. But to Knight's point, like they can't. Um, what's the word I'm looking for? It's a form of what is the word I'm looking for? If the not retribution, it's a form of
Retaliation.
retaliation
Mm.
if they do something right. But again, the problem behind that is they can list it as whatever they want. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah,
like
there's always a risk of this stuff, but the reality is most companies today understand not only is it bad business for them, the PR that goes with it, it can kill their business
Mhm.
like
Mhm.
quickly.
Mhm.
Let the population around the world know that your company discriminates against military vets. Dare them.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
doesn't end well for them. And they're not stupid either. Most companies, they get it. Stuff happens. People have issues. What I would say is just get help. Get help where you can. I mean, that may not be the answer you want. And don't be afraid to let people know. I mean, I would be pretty guarded in who I tell at work. They have an HR department for that very reason. There are ways you can do it, and that's pretty subtle. I think that'll help you out. But if you feel it's something you absolutely have to disclose, then disclose it. I don't talk to anybody at my job about my craziness. And I'm talking about me personally, not you. So, but they get it. They know that I'm a couple sandwiches short of a whole meal, I think. And they give me a pretty wide berth because of that. And I really appreciate, I respect the heck out of the people I work with, and they have tons of veterans working where I work. We even tolerate Army people.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
amazing.
Wow.
Yeah,
I
I know,
mean,
right? Got one on my team.
you just can't win. You can't win.
I know, right?
But something that I think all three of us, we both are all three very passionate about, is we want to stop that statistic
Yep.
of what happens with PTSD. We want to stop that. Like that. Anybody that gets to that point that once you get down to that 6 foot marker and you're putting yourself in the ground, we're there to get you out. So that's what we want to stop. So whatever you do, man, just make sure that you get the help that you need. If you need somebody to talk to about it, we're here. Uh, we do this every Saturday. We usually start around 8:45. I had some
Somebody
things.
was late. Not pointing any fingers.
Yeah. So
I love
um,
my job, man. I love
yeah.
it.
So, anyways, but yeah, definitely reach out to us if ever you need anything. And let me know. I will send you our Discord, and you can definitely reach out to us on our Discord as well if you ever need to.
Yeah, we're here, man. We're here.
Yeah, in fact, can I
You were
go ahead? I'm going to go
decidedly
ahead and,
not alone. You came to the right place.
yeah,
We'll all be crazy together. It's a lot of fun.
it
That's right.
is. It's a lot of fun.
No pain, no
Uh,
gain, right?
so let me do this. This one's gonna. I'm not gonna let this one expire. I'm gonna actually make this one. This one's gonna be a permanent one. It's gonna go up in the chat really quick.
Is that for our Discord?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, and then also just so like everybody knows too, like I don't know, anybody that's new or doesn't know that we're doing it. We have Roll for Heals, which is a online for-profit website that we're standing up for D&D to allow people to come in and choose something to play and a GM to play with and all that stuff. Along with that, a percentage of every sale that we make or the percentage of all the profits we make are going to go back to a non-for-profit that's going to help in funding, and obviously there's still a lot of work to be done on this, but in funding of a veteran treatment PTSD program, but also getting veterans at the table and actually playing D&D together to build that tribe mentality. So those are the two organizations that we're working on building, and kind of what started this whole podcast as well. So
Yep. Sure he did.
Yep. And so he said thanks a lot. That makes me feel a lot better. Which hey, that's what we're here for, man. That's what we were trying to do all along. So, um, yeah. Anything else that we want to touch bases on? I know Daddy Bro's got his thing. I don't know. Are you got that going on tonight?
Of course.
Oh yeah.
You silly rabbit.
Yeah, he's got it going on tonight.
I gotta try not to die. I'm actually alive in my freaking world for change.
Hardcore?
Yeah, I made it through a couple days. It's kind of amazing how that works.
Yeah, nice.
Nice.
If you guys don't know, Daddy Bro is he does Minecraft.
And I suck at it really bad. I hate it. It hurts my brain.
How did that the 24-hour competition go?
It wasn't a 24-hour competition. Seawolf beat me in the first one because of course I died.
Yeah. Okay.
And then we went to a second seed and I died in that one, but she died too. So now we're on to the third seed. It's kind of like the tiebreaker.
Okay.
It's not really a tie though. We haven't done that yet, but what my stream got cut short because I died. So
the guide for staying alive in Minecraft is to dig straight down always, correct?
Yeah, right. No, don't. I know people that do it because they're stupid. I don't.
Just dig yourself a big hole that you can't get out of and do it straight down.
There you go. Until something falls down in there with you, and then you're screwed.
Or you fall through a cavern into lava,
right?
or
yeah. Exactly. So, all right. So, yeah. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it has been fantastic being back. Welcome to 2025.
Ugh.
Welcome to
this year's gonna be better than last year. Dang it! It better be.
I have faith.
It has to be.
George Michael said it best. I have faith. All right.
Yeah. I would like to have faith, but it's hard, man. It's really hard.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. So, I'm gonna get out of here by saying we love you guys. Take care. Psych Ward, you got anything you want to say?
988 press 1 if you need it. It's a hotline for PTSD. So
there you go. That's a good one. And then last but definitely our most favorite. All
right, guys. Make sure you get yourself something good to eat. Get yourself something good to drink. Hug the people in your life because you never know how long you have them. And last but not least, if you need help, and I'm looking at you over there, get help. Getting help does not make you weak. It in fact makes you strong. Take care of yourselves. Goodbye, everybody.